George Conway.
Hello.
Another truly insane day in Donald Trump's America. I'm on Morning Joe this morning. Don Lemon has been arrested last night in the lobby of his Beverly Hills hotel by federal agents, and now he has spent the night in jail. Discuss.
Fucking outrageous, fucking illegal, and fucking dangerous. I mean, you don't mind my using that language, but
No,
that's the only way I
please.
can describe it. And I don't even know where to start. I mean, he was basically just covering a protest,
Right.
and they try to ding him under some law that says that you can't interrupt church services. Let's leave apart the question of the legality of that law. I guess it makes sense. I mean, if you're really truly disrupting and you're infringing on somebody's First Amendment rights to worship, I
Worship.
guess I guess that's certainly protectable. But if you're a journalist and you're there and you're simply observing something, whether it be a disturbance or something else, you're not engaging in that kind of disruption, and in any event, your actions are and should be protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And it's just absolutely look, it's got nothing to do with that particular incident in the
Right.
church. It's got to do with the fact that he's been annoying the shit out of ICE for weeks.
Yeah.
He was in Portland. We saw him there. We saw him in Minneapolis. He's been an absolute brilliant. He's been out there, shoe leather in the cold, doing journalism,
Yeah.
doing independent journalism, more of which we need. And his rights are our rights. I mean,
Yeah.
if the government can shut him down, he can shut anybody down, and we have to stick up for him. And I think he's gonna. I think he will prevail in court, but that doesn't mean that but it doesn't mean that this doesn't hurt because other people might not have the wherewithal, might not have the volunteer lawyers to help. In his circumstance, I mean, this is so bad. The government couldn't even get a U.S. magistrate judge to sign the arrest warrant, which is
The ju
absolutely unheard of.
the
Normally, you just get the
judge
affidavit and they'll sign the arrest warrant, and the FBI is off to the races. And here, not only did the magistrate judge not issue the arrest warrant, they took it up to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit, and the Eighth Circuit said, "What the fuck? No way, we're going to
I
reverse the judge
I
on this."
want you to talk about the 8th Circuit judge who said, "What the fuck?" Because he feels like a real George Conway type.
I
Did
don't
you ever
know him
know
at
him?
I don't know him at all. I kind of saw a little online that he's a
Clerked for
profiled him.
Scalia,
Yeah, he's a rule of law kind of guy. It strikes me,
put
and this
in the
is
job by W.
by W. Really. These are the real old style. We believe in individual rights conservatives who are on the bench. These are the same people who did a lot. Remember in 2020 and early 2021 to stop the bullshit that when
Yeah,
Trump was trying to steal an election. I mean, remember the guy Bibas on the Third Circuit who was a
yeah.
Trump appointee and basically affirmed the dismissal of Rudy Giuliani's bullshit case. It's like these judges aren't buying this. I mean, it's
Yeah.
only the most recently appointed hacks that they have really any chance with. And leave apart the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court's like, um,
But they are you can tell they see which way the wind is blowing, and
they
it's
see
not
what
blowing anywhere
absolutely
good.
things, the courts on balance, particularly the lower federal courts, have been fantastic
Yeah.
defending the rule of law. The problem is they are not the solution. They are not the solution that the framers intended to a criminal executive. The court says, and we've had this discussion a bunch of different times. It's like the courts can stop one thing at a time or order one thing stopped at a time, but they can't stop everything.
Mhm.
And not only that, to enforce the court orders actually requires the cooperation of the Justice Department, which isn't going to fully cooperate when push comes to shove. The most important mechanism to fight a criminal executive is impeachment and removal.
Mhm.
And the other thing that actually can be useful, at least as a stopgap measure before you remove the president, it is actually the funding mechanisms of the government, which we actually are seeing some kind of interesting maneuvering in the Senate today and yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I wanna talk about the Senate, but I first wanna talk to you about Mr. Todd Blanche, attorney to Donald J. Trump. I know you've been busy running for Congress, but,
Well, I had a
Todd
little spat with
Blanche
him, remember, a few weeks ago. Do you remember
Remind
that?
us now.
I had a little spat with him, and I forget what it was about, but he went out and attacked me, and I cleaned his clock somehow. But he's just he's a ridiculous, shameless person
So
who basically is.
he
I mean,
got
I
to
can't
be
even start.
deputy attorney general because Donald
He was
Trump
the
liked
right.
how he
His
was as a lawyer.
Well, because he was one of the few criminal defense lawyers who would represent Trump, and I don't know. I mean, he represented Trump in the case in which he was convicted on 34 counts.
Yeah.
I guess
See,
that's your reward. I guess that's right. You get good job, Todd.
so he gave a presser today when they released all of these Epstein files, which now,
Oh, okay, I
by the
missed that.
way, oh, in an incredible bit of insanity, they released all these Epstein files, and a lot of them, by the way, and I'm not defending anyone here, but there are a lot of allegations in these Epstein files that may or may not be true, right? Like
Mhm.
every allegation is in there. So the DOJ now has started pulling them off the internet. So there's
This
a
is Didn't they
spread.
do this last time?
Yes, there's a spreadsheet with Donald Trump, a lot of pretty serious allegations, and then redacted names of people who said he had committed the crimes. They were put up, and
Right,
then we saw them disappear in real time.
right. And the law that was written and that was passed doesn't allow them to do that. Period. Full stop. Unless there's an active investigation going on, and we know they're not investigating Donald Trump.
Certainly not.
So,
And what I thought was interesting when Todd Blanche was talking today, he said, there are no other men who are culpable in any way.
and he did that after what? Looking at all the documents? He look at all 3 million pages of documents?
I'm sure he did not, but that
Well,
was
but
what he said. He
if he
said there's
says
no,
that,
and if
then if he
there
said, yeah,
were,
yeah,
then they would have charged him already.
correct. And the fact is that none of that allows them to pull back these documents. But of course, you know what happened. Somebody at the White House started screaming about it. Maybe some guy
Yeah.
with orange hair who's a little weak in the brain. Maybe,
A little
maybe
cooked, a little
a little
cooked,
cooked up there. Yeah.
a little cooked. Donald Trump, it seems as if the only thing that could stop Donald Trump is an impeachment. You're running for
Yes,
Congress.
that's my
Tell
position.
us.
It is not a question of politics anymore. It is not a question of, gee, how does impeachment poll? In fact, it should never be that. This is a solemn power and obligation of the United States Congress to preserve constitutional government by removing people who commit high crimes and misdemeanors. And there is nobody in the history of this country who has committed more high crimes and misdemeanors in such a short time or at all than Donald fucking Trump. And by high crimes and misdemeanors, we mean actual statutory crimes, which he's been committing, like, bombing these people out in the
The
Caribbean.
fishermen,
The
the
fishermen,
Venezuelan
and I
fishermen.
can't imagine that some of the money that's been floating around, he's a criminal. We already knew that
Yeah.
he's a
Trump
convicted criminal.
coin,
But Trump coin, I mean, all of
the
this
rug
grift.
pull.
But even
Yeah.
apart from that, high crimes and misdemeanors means just basically violating your oath of office and your duties to the people, right? It's like, let's say you're a trustee of a trust, right? And
Right.
there's a beneficiary and you're required to, manage the money, and you start spending it on yourself. Okay? That's a violation of your legal obligations. And the presidency is the ultimate trust in the United,
Yeah.
it is if you violate that trust and you operate the government for your own benefit and not for the people's benefit, you don't execute the laws faithfully, you violate the laws because it's in your interest personally to do so. Those are high crimes and misdemeanor, and just being generally incompetent, maladministration of an extreme sort, like, maladministration of ICE, which is absolutely appalling what
Yeah.
he's doing. Maladministration through Doge,
Yeah.
everything. All of this stuff is impeachable. Virtually everything he's doing these days is impeachable. And what the thing that concerns me, other than, are we going to make it through the next 3 years, is there's a lot of people who don't get that that is supposed to be the remedy. A lot of
Right.
people think, it's kind of like, you ever hear the term that psychologists use? learned helplessness. Yeah. And this is to some extent the body politic, including our electeds. And we're not just talking here. I mean, the Republicans are absolutely craven and cowardly and shameless, but even some Democrats are like, well, we can't really do anything about Trump for 3 years. We just have to grin. We have to just bear it, and we have to make do with what we can do and try to work on other issues, and criticize Trump for all sorts of other
Right.
issues. Like,
It's a
to
huge
me,
mistake. Huge
it's a
mistake.
huge mistake. It's wrong as a legal
Right.
matter, it's wrong as a moral matter, it's wrong as a political matter, because you're creating the self-fulfilling, self-defeating prophecy. And it's also wrong because of the things that affect people's lives negatively. Higher costs because of illegal tariffs.
Yeah.
I look out the window from my apartment in West Chelsea, and I see the Gateway construction project, which is the new Amtrak tunnel that Trump is cutting off funds for because he wants to punish New York.
Right.
That's an example. Jobs are on the
That's
line.
illegal.
Our
Yeah.
transportation system is on the line. The
But it's also
entire
he's not a
Right.
king, right?
Right.
He's not a king. He's an
It's not a
elected
king.
official.
Yeah, but he's an elected official. His oath is of office is to enforce the laws and abide by the Constitution, and his to do so in the best interest of the nation. And he can't. He can't do that. All he cares about is himself and his 747 and his ballroom, and the Melania movie showing it at the Trump Kennedy, illegally named Trump Kennedy Center, where he's putting these marble armrests and so on and so forth. I mean, it's all fucking bullshit, and he
So
needs to go.
they took 4 journalists, all of whom are Black,
Oh, surprise,
not
surprise.
surprise, surprise, all of whom are, independents, so they
Mhm.
don't have big
They
organizations
don't
to
have like
protect
CNN,
them.
right? Exactly.
Yeah. I do think, like, this is like Kimmel. This is like taking Kimmel off the air. It
Hmm.
is a moment where you ask yourself, like, "How do we go on like this?"
Yeah, no, it's worse though. But I mean, with
Yeah.
Kimmel, they were basically intimidating somebody to then, in their private business, to screw Kimmel. This is physically arresting people. This is
Yeah.
Gestapo type tactics.
Yeah.
This is insane. I don't think it will stand, but I think it's really, really important for people to understand how important those individual journalists' rights are to our rights,
Yeah.
because their rights are our rights. Their right to inform us affects our right to be informed. It's all one and the same. And ultimately, if they don't have the right to inform other people, then neither do we. And we
And
we
I
just absolutely have to. I mean,
I
the
think
First Amendment is just essentially essential to the lifeblood of a democracy in a free country, and they're trying to choke it off.
And I think that why they don't like journalists, why autocrats don't like journalists, comes down to very simple calculus, which is they
Correct.
do not want their
Truth.
crimes reported on.
Correct. They don't want truth. And I mean, scholars of fascism will tell you that the entire superstructure of a fascist government is lying.
Yeah.
Lies. Like this administration tells about things that we can see with our own eyes, like the murder of Renee Good and the murder of Alex Preddy. Um,
Lies as
Lies
loyalty
and lies.
tests,
I mean, I know
right?
I have a friend, a professor of history, who has written a book called Fascist Lies, and he goes through all, how essential it is. The gaslighting is absolutely essential to maintaining a fascist regime. You can't
Yeah.
believe what your eyes see. Don't, you believe the propaganda. And, fortunately, we have video in HD, and that's important.
I do think if we didn't have that video, who even knows where we'd be right now?
No, and God bless these people who are out there standing in the cold, risking their
Their
physical
lives.
safety, and holding
2
up
have
their
been
cell
killed.
phones.
2 have
Yes.
been killed, so they're
Yeah,
technically risking their
absolutely.
lives.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and at least, and there are other people have been shot. We forget there are
Right.
other incidents where people have been hurt and injured. Though, any one of those could have been another death.
It's so incredibly insane to be in this moment because it was like there've been so many times over the last decade where you and I have sat down and been like, this is really fucking bad. But this
Right.
is like
No, we've
kicked it
reached
up
another thing. I mean, we
next
what we would talk
level.
about when we talked about this, we've been talking about this for years. We were talking about how insane it was, and then we would extrapolate
Right.
to
What
say, if
could
this keeps
happen?
going, this would be fascism.
Mhm.
Okay, we are way up that chart now.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're kind of it's more like one of those hockey stick graphs where all of a sudden we're like this, and it's not like that.
Yeah.
And we are, and all the people who said, he'll go away. You're
He's
exaggerating, and
gonna just play some golf. Remember that?
yeah,
He'll play
and
some
he'll back
golf.
down, or Susan Collins. He's learned his lesson. He doesn't. He never will, and
Yeah.
he's going to get more and more dangerous.
George Conway, I have a question for you, which I think you'll appreciate. So, Susan Collins, who we are just talking about, is running for re-election in the state of Maine.
Yes.
She calls the White House,
Yep.
tells them they got to pull out ICE.
Yep.
Why do you think Susan Collins did that?
Because she's trying to save her own skin. And that's all she cares about. Obviously, it's good for the people of Maine that ICE is withdrawn from Maine, but that doesn't help the rest of the country. And it shouldn't be that if you have a vulnerable Republican incumbent senator, you get up, you
You
get
get a
to ask the
pass
government,
from
right?
ICE.
Okay, we're all in this together. We're all Americans. This only highlights the vindictive and political nature of how the federal government, this criminal regime, is using ICE. We saw that a bit of that in Minnesota when Bondi wrote that letter to Governor Walz saying, "Well, we
Mhm.
might withdraw ICE if you do. Like, give us your voter rolls," which has absolutely nothing to do with law enforcement, nothing to do with
Insane.
immigration
And
enforcement.
also, isn't it illegal to trade ICE occupation? I mean, I know we've moved so beyond legal and not legal, but
Legal
ICE,
schmeal.
right, ICE occupation for voter rolls. I mean, that isn't that the craziest thing you've ever
It is
heard?
absolutely, absolutely positively insane, particularly when you consider that under the constitutional structure that we have, states are principally responsible for the administration of elections, even elections to federal office, like running for
Right.
Congress. That's run by, like, here in New York.
President. Yeah.
You run for Congress, which you're on a ballot that's created by the New York State or New York City Board of Elections, same way
Right.
across the country. So, this is absolute. I mean, these conservatives who are supposedly respectful of federalism, they're trampling it. They
Yeah.
don't give a fuck about it. They don't give a fuck also about the Second Amendment, right? Because if Alex Preddy has a gun, he gets to be shot. That's their position now. I mean, they're just
Do you
unbelievable
think
gaslighting hypocrites.
any conservatives are they losing any conservatives? Because 'Cause they're losing it in the polling, but we're not seeing that on
Look,
Twitter.
I mean, you look, all I can tell you is I don't talk to these people, but I can tell you that you can see it in some of the press. You can absolutely see it in some of the press. You saw some of the, I think Axios had a story about how Republicans are just doing, they're worried that they're going to get destroyed, and then we saw the most amazing example is that gubernatorial candidate in Minnesota who was going to
Right.
be the Republican nominee, or it was the Republican nominee, and he basically says, "I give up."
Yeah.
'Cause you can't, how can you run with an R after your name? I don't know how anybody after over the last several years. I mean, I quit the Republican Party in 2018 because it was just out of control, and it was a personality cult. And it was better then than it is today. I don't know how you can face the electorate as a Republican. It's shameful. And this guy realized it's untenable to run as a Republican in Minnesota now because the state has just been so thoroughly abused by Donald Trump.